Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Courtney Bagby Lupilin. Courtney, excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, super excited to have you on and talk about all the awesome things that you're doing. And of course, before we jump into the interview, I want to read a little bit more about Courtney so you can hear about some of those awesome things. And Courtney is the CEO and founder of Little Red Management, is the go-to talent manager for reality TV stars from shows on ABC, CBS, MTV, and Netflix, including The Bachelor franchise, Big Brother, Love is Blind, and The Circle. She began her career in the corporate sector at Oracle in San Francisco, managing internal communications and events. A yearning for the celebrity side of influencer marketing led her to Los Angeles, where she volunteered her time and built relationships within the reality TV world before taking the leap to launch Little Red Management in 2019 at the age of 25. Courtney has actively participated in partnerships for huge brands, including Disney, Fox, Hallmark, Nike, Adidas, Amazon, and many, many more. And I absolutely love that Courtney was able to kind of take the ball and run with it, something that she was super passionate about and has been able to build and do, phenomenal things. She has a wealth of knowledge, which I'm sure we'll get into around influencer marketing, content creation. And one of the things that I love is her hobbies. Two of the hobbies that she has are puppies and National Pizza Day, which I think should definitely be everybody's hobbies. And I just want to give you a congratulations as well. I saw you recently got married, so wanted to give you a belated congratulations as well. So Courtney, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Yes, thank you so much. And just a little fun fact, we also had pizza for our main dish at our wedding. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not. I'm jealous.
It was super fun.
Hey, what do they say? Best wedding ever. So there you go. That's the best way to get the rave reviews. So I absolutely love that. So to kind of kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock, hear a little bit more on how you got started, what I call your CEO story.
Yeah, of course. I'm like, where should I start? um, No, so I originally outside of college, I sort of knew that I wanted to manage reality stars and talent. Like it was right in the time frame, just to give everyone an idea, it was about 2015. And a lot of people, I would say honestly, that was like the first time that people were starting to get a following from reality stars from reality TV on Instagram. So I would see this happen and I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? Like, I want to work with those people. This is so great. Because it wasn't just like an actor, like actors always got a following from their TV shows on mostly every platform. But this was the first few years that people were really blowing up. I just didn't necessarily know like how to get there. Right. So it was like, I had a lot of informational interviews. I ended up, not sort of taking the risk. I couldn't get anything in LA, like right outside of college. And I knew that I didn't want to go to New York. So like I ended up getting a job at Oracle in tech, and absolutely loved it still for like 3 years. And I just had like my hobbies be watching reality TV, traveling to like go meet celebrities in LA and like doing whatever I could, sliding into DMs to help do a media kit for my now clients. Like it's crazy to think that. But and I ended up finally making the move about 3 years later, leaving Oracle, and I got a job at a talent agency where we handled many like commercials and social media deals and stuff, but it was for a lot of actors and actresses. And again, as I think you remember, it's like I wanted to work with reality, and that was always my goal. And my bosses at the time like did not want to do that, so I took it into my own hands and left the company. And I think I had about like 5 people that I could pitch. I mean, it was definitely under 10, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go do my own thing now. And that's when I started Little Red Management. So that was about like 4.5 years ago now.
Nice. Well, I love hearing that journey because I think, we see all the awesome things you're doing. I think even seeing at your wedding, is star-studded event. I would even say with all the people as well too, I imagine that you've been able to kind of connect with and to build relationships with. But I think when you see that, you don't see the behind the scenes things. You don't see the 3 years that you were working at Oracle and doing all the other things as hobbies to trying to, I don't want to say you were building that, but it sounds like you were just kind of attracted to the things you were passionate about and trying to
Yeah.
see how it would work out. You knew, I don't know if you knew it would work out, but it seems like you just kind of were attracted to it and you decided to just, spend more and more time there and didn't kind of give up hope.
Well, and I think the biggest thing is I never had I never had a want or dream to start my own company. Like, it wasn't the goal. And so that's like what is so crazy to me is like, I just wanted to work for an agency and do this, right? Like, I didn't care how or why or whatever. Like, it wasn't me wanting to start my own business. It's like, even after a year in an agency, like I would apply. I mean, that's what's so crazy, right? And like my competitors are probably always like, oh God, I could have hired her, and she would have like been a badass at my company. But like, really, that's what's so insane is that like I tried to get a job, even like with agencies that represented reality stars, and I didn't get any calls. So then I just took it into my own hands and started my own business. And I've actually never talked about that on a podcast because I feel like a lot of people think that like I always wanted to start my own business.
Yeah, that's why I appreciate you sharing that. And I think so many times when you see opportunities and you see gaps, of course you have the person that, I've been selling potato chips since I was 5 years old. And I know I always wanted to start something. I just didn't know what it was. But I love that you were just super passionate about it. And you were kind of, I don't want to say pleading, but you wanted to get that opportunity to be within that umbrella. But there wasn't that opportunity because maybe they didn't have the foresight or the vision. And you decided to take that leap yourself. And I think that speaks a lot to you, but also to a reminder towards people that sometimes if there isn't that path, if there isn't that lane, and you might see that lane, sometimes you might have to take those steps in order for that to happen.
No, definitely. And I think that that's no, I mean, that's exactly like what happened is I think, if someone's not going to give me an opportunity, then I'm going to just go try it on my own, you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely, making a way at it sometimes when there's seems to be, no way at all. So I wanted to drill down a little bit more, hear a little bit more about that way, what you lean into, how you're working and serving your clients. Could you take us through what that looks like and how you're making that impact?
Yeah. So, I think can you reword that question a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Wanted to drill down a little bit more, hear how you're working with and serving your clients, the services you
Okay.
provide to kind of help support them and make that impact.
Yeah. So at Little Red Management, we manage reality stars and handle their brand partnerships. So, and negotiate those brand partnerships. So, a lot of it is like, just to give you an idea, is like, the latest season of Love is Blind is out. And I either DM, like, I will sign into those DMs still to this day, or I'll get a referral, or the latest cast member might reach out to me and we'll kind of start a conversation. And then from there, I'm sort of guiding them on what their career is going to look like now because it's like a whole new world to them. So I'll do partnerships with them with Amazon and Nike and whatever deals that come our way, right? I'll be negotiating those. But the most important thing is, taking a reality star off the show and being like, what do you want to do now? Like, what sort of content do you want to do? What kind of brands do you want to work with? Because at the end of the day, like I have so many different clients that all do different types of brand deals and appeal to brands differently, right? Like, just because one person's working with Amazon doesn't mean that every client of mine is going to appeal to Amazon. And I think that that's what the coolest thing is. And on the other hand, like, I'll have someone like Amazon reach out to me and say, hey, can you send me some clients of yours that like really make sustainability number one, and that you can tell on their Instagram that sustainability is very important to them. And from there, I'll send them a few girls or guys or whoever it is, and we'll kind of go from there on, who's going to be the best partner for that brand too. So it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And it almost feels like, the people that are the reality stars have their story or maybe are starting to develop their story even more. It sounds like you're for lack of a better term, kind of like that matchmaker to kind of find like how that story fits into the brand story that they're potentially going to be partnering with. Is that correct?
Yeah. 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 And I
Yeah,
think with that comes a lot of it is a lot harder than it looks, right? I
of
mean, there's so
course.
much negotiation, and you do have to manage the campaign from start to finish, and there's invoicing and contracts and so many different things that, someone coming off a reality show right away it's not their job or they don't know how to do it. Heck, they're even learning how to make a reel at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like even that's a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So and that's part of like I guess what you're doing with the clients, and it's helping them to like understand reels and how the power of the content and all those. And it's like a whole different territory. I imagine they've been on the show, and then they have this opportunity that they may not even know is an opportunity, but you're able to kind of bridge that gap, help to kind of complete that story.
For sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes so much sense. So I love that you've been able to do that. So, what would you consider be what I like to call your secret sauce? This could be for yourself, the organization, or a combination of both. But what do you feel sets you apart and makes you unique?
Oh my god, I love this question because I feel like sometimes I'm like so hard on myself that sometimes it's like nice to remember the things that probably set me apart. I feel like my secret sauce is like being sort of in the same generation as a lot of my clients. And also just like and being able to like know what I personally like to watch on socials, right? And like what kind of content I like and want because I'm also a fan of these people. So I feel like those are two things. I have one more, but I think it's really hard for me to work with someone that I don't know. So the fact that I actually manage talent that I know every single one and have watched them on their shows is really helpful for them and me because I know what they're known for. And I think the third thing is just like my I shouldn't say it like this, but like my emotional state of mind, like
Hmm.
just me being like emotionally invested like in my clients' lives and like actually caring about them and like wanting to make money for them sets me apart I think because at the end of the day like yes, I want to make money too, but like it's my goal to make them money and like mm, and be able to like get them deals that they're excited about too, money aside. And I think just like me actually caring is like very different in this industry. And I feel like that sounds so bad, but I don't know if you know a lot of people like in entertainment agents, big time agents, it's like, it's hard. Like, do they actually care about you, you know?
Yeah, and it reminds me of the quote, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And I love that you said it like that because I
Oh, I've
think
never
that
heard that.
yeah, I don't remember who said it, so you can give me the credit if you want, but I'm sure I brought it for somebody else. But that emotional state of mind is so big because I often say that we forget about the human aspect of business. Of course, dollars and cents deals, financials, marketing, all those things are of course important. But I think I love that you're so invested in it, and that's why what really resonated with me, with me and reading and hearing everything that you're doing is how passionate you were before you're doing what you're doing now. And I think that's what I really loved is that you took the ball, like I said, and just kind of ran with it and created this opportunity not to just create a win just for you and your organization, but you create a win where you have the brands that are winning, you have the clients that are winning, the reality TV stars, and of course you as an organization get the opportunity to just kind of celebrate those wins with both of them as well too. And I think when you're really dialed into that human side, that's when I think you really make not just dollars, but you make true impact and you really get to change lives.
Yeah. No. And I mean, I literally could lose sleep over some of my clients at some point, you know? So like I feel like that goes to show you like how much you just actually care.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just thinking more like when you going back to like when you were starting everything, did you I know you probably had that emotional feeling and that connection and knew that you wanted to kind of support that. Do you feel like you kind of had a vision of like where this would end up going or what it would look like from a content standpoint side or potentially even a partnership that you would have in brands? Do you feel like you had that kind of understood or laid out or knew what that was going to look like?
Honestly, like I feel like I'm still learning
Okay.
what that's going to look like. Isn't that what's crazy about owning
Yeah.
your own business?
Hmm.
And like being able to make all the decisions, like I'm pretty sure like every single day I'm like what is my dream still? You know, like what it like now that I have my dream and have my own company, like what do I want next? Because as you probably know, like entrepreneurs, like at heart, like we don't stop. Like we always want the next thing, you know? And so it's like, and I never know, like, is that a bigger client? Is that the bigger brand deals? Is it more long term? Like, I think just sometimes, is it hiring more employees and figuring that out? Do I want to only manage 5 people, right? Like, it's so crazy that I get to make that decision. So, does that kind of answer your question? Like, I feel like you're just always learning what that means necessarily.
Yeah, no, it definitely answers the question that I had, and I think that that's kind of like the beautiful thing of being an entrepreneur or CEO, business owner, whatever title we might give, is that you kind of get to. There is no right answer. The only wrong answer is I think if you're not actually answering the question yourself, and I think probably people that are listening to this are just saying, okay, she did this, she did this, she did this, but I think one of the things that I really want to hammer home, which I feel like you are constantly doing, is asking, what is your dream? You said, what is my dream? What are you trying to do? And the answer to the questions of what is next is probably going to be right in line with how you answered, like, what your dream is.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that's the thing is like, I obviously the reason why I started this business is to help people and to help their dreams come true. So at some point it's like, well, what is mine? And I think mine is to help those people get their dream jobs. But like, there's just always room for growth, and that's what's like insanity. Um and also like work smarter, not harder. So like I got to figure that out too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always, things to do and always something on the to-do list, so to speak. And I imagine you as well too. And many people are listening to this have tried to get 25 hours of the day. We keep finding a way, trying to find a way to do that. But as of yet, I haven't discovered it. I don't know if you have over there.
Not yet, but like, I'm pretty organized and always have my to-do list, but it's crazy because each client of mine also has a to-do list for me. You know what I
There you
mean?
go. Yes, absolutely. But that's when you're doing great work, you get to kind of support all those things happening. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to
Totally.
ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a
Okay.
habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Oh my god. Okay, this is like so silly though because I feel like it's so common, I'm sure, but like I literally could not live without like my notes app like on my phone. And just like we have one that's shared between our team, and we keep track of like all the campaigns that go live every day, and like and check them off like once they go live, and it's just so helpful because like if I'm running the grocery store, which I do go, or the bank or whatever, like I can use it from my phone, and it's super um like easy to use on phone, computer, whatever. My other thing that's just like outside the box is like I do use Airtable, which have you heard of that?
I haven't used it a lot. It, it's kind of like
Yeah,
Excel on
so it's like
steroids, right?
that's the best way to describe it, and it's just pretty and color coded, and I just like have used it since day one of like color coding everything and like project managing everything, which you could totally do it on Excel too, but it's just not pretty, to use it on there. But yeah, those are like my two main things that I feel like keep my team very organized.
Yeah, I absolutely love both of those hacks, and I love it because as you were kind of talking about it, you obviously have your to do list, and you mentioned your clients have your to do list as well too. So I imagine trying to hold on and mentally take care of all those things, you need to have quote unquote a place to put them. So I love the Notes app, Notes app, and of course I love Airtable because you get the opportunity to kind of have a place where all those things are. Not only does it help you out, but it also helps. It sounds like to communicate with the team as well.
Yeah, what's your favorite hack that maybe you
You
haven't shared so far?
The one that I haven't shared so far, I swear by, and I'm literally writing it in now, is I might have shared it a
Yeah.
few times as my Evernote, which is very similar to the Notes app. I'm literally
Yes.
writing everything. It's not as organized, but I know it's all there. And the power of it is I get to like actually search for whatever it is there. So if I'm like, I know I wrote something and I can't remember when I wrote it, I can literally type it in search and it can, bring me that note.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's the easiest thing. It's sort of like an email, but in a no random situation. And I feel like I don't know how people like live without like a note section. And it doesn't even have to be a to-do thing, right? It's just like let me put a random address here, or like login, or my password, or whatever it is, and like it just organizes your entire life.
Yeah,
Is all.
absolutely. Yeah, I don't know how people, I agree with you, how they can, hold on to all those stuff. Cause I think, mentally you can only hold on to so many things before you start dropping those balls, so to speak. But between that and I think my other one would be my project management software. We use Basecamp. That's been huge because again, you just don't
So is
try
that
to hold
sort
on
of
to all
like
those things.
Airtable or something else? I feel like I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so it's more kind of, I guess, a little deeper than Airtable probably. I haven't used Airtable as much. I've
Okay.
just been invited to it, but you get to kind of have like a different project for each of the clients. That's how we use it. Of course, you can use it any way you want to, but I think the whole point is that you could put files, you can link Airtables in within, this. You can communicate with clients directly there. So that's how we use it, and it's been really cool because, like, if you have things that are going on, you can communicate and have those things going on directly, that clients can see or don't see certain things. You can have stuff internal, so it's a little bit, I think, more complex, but it's been a game changer for us.
No, I always wonder like how it would be to be able to like communicate and everything in one area, because I feel like that's what's always hard for all these businesses is like I try to have, I mean, I love my email, but then if someone texts me, it sort of like throws me off, and like I prefer to have it all in one area.
Yeah, I think
And
that
hard
I've
to
heard that.
search text messages.
Yes, yes, yes. I agree with that. Yeah, I've heard like a lot of project management software has been really good at that. ClickUp is, I think, another one. We used to use Asana, but again, these are things that, like, just like you said, like
I've
sometimes you
heard
have it
that
and you
one.
know that you've heard it, but don't know exactly where it is, and that power of that search is huge. So,
No, exactly.
what would you consider to be what I call a CEO nugget? It's a little bit more word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be around influencer marketing or content creation, but it might be something you would hop into a time machine and tell your younger business self.
Okay, I love this for everyone that ever wants to start a business too. And I share it a lot. So I'm sorry if you've already heard it, but and it's from a movie, but never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game.
Mhm,
So just do it. Just try, reach out to so many people on LinkedIn, slide into those DMs and make it
mhm,
happen. Set your mind to something and do it. My favorite piece of advice that I want to also share for content creators, like, or anyone in that space, is, you can't expect, and this is like so random because I feel like we haven't talked about this podcast, but I I think about all the time how my clients just need to post, or like consistently post every day, post every other day, like post consistently. And, because I'll have people that reach out to me, clients of mine, and say, "Hey, Courtney, how come I haven't gotten a deal this month?" And I'm like, "Well, the last time you posted in feed was over a month ago." So, my point to them, my little nugget is you can't expect to make a full-time salary if you're only working part-time.
mm.
And I actually think that can go hand in hand for any entrepreneur also listening to this, because you can't start a business thinking that you're going to make a lot of money if you're only working a couple hours a week on your business.
Yeah, I love that,
So I think
and I
that could go for either one, right?
Yeah, I think it does, and I love how it ties into your story as well too. Because I think even when you mentioned when you were working at Oracle, you were still, DMing people, you were still watching, doing homework even as well too, and just understanding, the people. And I think that, when we think about like success and how to reach success, again, it's, there's a lot of, luck and things. Sometimes things align and things like that. But I think there's no substitute. And I imagine you would as well too, from like kind of rolling up your sleeves and doing the work. And that work, especially if you want to be a content creator, is actually creating content. You want to get a brand deal for your content, you have to have content that you're creating consistently so that the brand can understand exactly who you are and what you're doing.
100%. And I couldn't tell you more about all that stuff, because I think that you have to put, don't put all your eggs in the basket, but you do have to expect to work really hard and full time to make that money in return.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious just from like maybe a little bit more of an inside baseball, so to speak, and a perspective. And, these content creators that are really able to be successful in the reality stars, are they putting in, and I imagine I already know the answer to this just based off of what you said, time to make that happen? Is that just something that just happens just because they've been on the show, or do they have to do things after the fact to be able to see that success too?
Yeah, I found that like if you are not posting 3 to 4 times a week and like putting out quality content, I just like don't think that you can make a full-time living off social media in general. Like and I pretty much do tell my clients like right off the show, like if you are posting 3 to 5 times a week and like posting on stories every day and stuff, like I do think you can make 6 figures, and I almost say that for anyone that has more than like 20,000 followers. Like truly I believe that at this point. But you have to make it your full-time job and be good at it, which is hard for people, but you have to be good at it and you have to be consistent. And I do think that you can be successful doing it. I think that most people can, it's just you have to put the time and work into it.
Yeah, absolutely. That high quality, consistent content is definitely huge. But I appreciate you sharing a little bit on that. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about your other nugget that you mentioned, because I think going back again, hammering home that human aspect of business and how we forget about that, the fear of striking out, not letting you even like step up to base to or even swing at that is that a little bit like going into like where you were when you were thinking of starting the business? Did you have that fear, and then you just said, I'm not going to let that, derail me, and you took a step? Is that part of like what happened with you?
It's so funny because in my high school graduation, I mean, this was a while ago before I even went to college. That was like my quote. We all like had a quote at our
I love
graduation when we
it.
walked the stage. And I feel like I felt like that about a lot of things. Like I was always scared to skydive. I went skydiving. I was scared to go to school in Colorado and like leave all my friends. And I did that. Like I think that there's so many things in my life that I was like, that like are scary to most people, I will say. And like I just did it. Like instead of even trying to be scared. And like I think that there's just so many people in life that are constantly talking about what they want to do and they don't make it happen. And like I've always found that sort of annoying because I'm like, why can't you just do it? Like if you want to do it, granted, I came from, business where I was selling my services, right? Like I didn't have to like invest in product or whatever. I didn't have an overhead, right? Like I didn't hire any employees off the bat, like didn't have overhead. So I think that it was like not easier for me, but like definitely safer than like starting a clothing brand, for example.
Mhm.
But no, I think that I always was sort of like just believed that even if you're scared about something, that's maybe more of a reason to do it,
I
you
love that,
know?
and it's so funny you said that because I had this big, fear of heights, and actually I went skydiving largely because I wanted to kind of have a little bit of a different perspective on fear, because I feel like fear sometimes becomes this living, breathing, huge, scary thing, but sometimes it's not as scary if you walk up to it and do whatever the thing is.
No, I
So
feel like it was so scary. Did you think it was scary?
it
Come
was
on.
scary going up. It was scary, definitely going up. It's scary every time before until after you're done. But I think that now, even like when I do presentations or I talk to people or whatever I'm nervous about, I always look at that picture because that just reminds me of that fear that you have. It may be legit, but it may be misplaced. So it doesn't have to control your life. It doesn't have to stop you from doing whatever things you might be called to do.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I just think that people are always scared to do certain things and you just have to do it. It makes it more of a reason that you should do it.
Exactly. Go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so now I want to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So, Courtney, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Honestly, being a CEO to me means that I can make decisions on what I want to do. Um, and I know that that seems so broad, but there are so many clients that come to me and want me to represent them. And if I don't know them from a TV show, like my team is not going to represent them. And like, that's how it's going to happen. And I think also like in a weird thing, like you're working 24/7, but you also have this like flexibility as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Give me an example. Like, what does CEO mean to you? I want to hear what other people have said too. And I'm
Oh,
going to
I've
go
heard.
back and listen.
Yeah, there's so many great answers. I think that one of the ones that really resonated with me is somebody compared it to like being a parent. And I think because especially like when you're starting, when we're talking about those beginning stages of business, it ends up being like having a baby and you have to be around it all the time. But as you start to progress, the baby starts walking, it starts doing things by itself. So you start to see the growth of it. I think that's been definitely, one of my favorite ones. But I mean, chief cook and bottle washer, chief everything officer. I've heard literally everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really love that because what you talked about making decisions because I always get that analogy or parallel between like having a paintbrush and getting to paint the canvas in the way that you want, and you get to make the decisions. You get to decide these are the clients or these are not the clients, or this is where I want to go, or I want to have 5 clients, I want to have 50 clients or 50 employees. You get to do all those things, but we sometimes forget that we have the paintbrush and we get to paint the canvas how we want. So I really love that perspective and that definition.
I think, yeah, like that's what's so scary. Like, scary goes back to failure, right? But
Mhm.
like, I think that that's what's so insane is like, if you want to hire more employees, it's just kind of scary of like where that will take you, right? Or like, you just don't know the outcome. And like, sometimes I do wish that I had someone to like tell me what to do. Like, I have, like, I feel like I'm in a very pivotal time in my career where, I'm hoping to get to work with, I guess, like larger talent, but that means that I also feel like I won't have as much time. And I've never admitted this yet, but I'm always scared because will that not give me more time for my smaller creators that I adore and love, and kind of like how do you do that? Like I don't want to hire a bunch of employees. That's probably my least favorite thing is figuring out how to make employees happy and like managing them. And I'm so thankful for my team, but it's hard. And so I think that those are the things that are kind of scary about owning your own business is just like, okay, how do I want to go about this? And what are really my dreams and long-term goals at this point now that I've had my business for a few years?
Yeah, it is definitely, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity, but it could also be very nerve-wracking at the same time because there is not necessarily a playbook on like how exactly you should do it. You always have to make sure that you are staying true to like, your mission, your goals. But I think that a lot of times they'll say like those constraints, those barriers, or sometimes if you know that you don't want to do something, sometimes that just kind of forces us to be a lot more creative because we don't want to do it in the way that everybody says that we should do it or we should be thinking about doing it. But by having that constraint, we often have to pivot in a way that sometimes is something completely different, unique, and innovative that we never really thought of. So that's one of the best and most exciting things, but sometimes the most nerve-wracking things. So Courtney, truly appreciate that definition and perspective. Of course, I appreciate your time even more. So, what I wanted to do now was pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional that you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you, find about all the awesome things you and your team are working on.
Amazing. I hope that my last little tidbit didn't discourage you from anything, because owning a business is great and you make so many decisions, and definitely pays off too. But you can find me on Instagram at Courtney Bagby, Bagby. I will be changing the name soon on Instagram. But follow my Instagram account for Little Red Management. So it's Little Red and then MGMT. We have like we show a lot of the fun campaigns that we work on with our clients, and then also like some social media tips for brands and or talent. So yeah, check it out and feel free to email me if you have any questions. Email is always the best way to get a hold of me. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, truly appreciate you. Of course, to make it even easier, we'll have the links and information in the show notes as well too, so that everybody can get a hold of Courtney and their team and all the awesome things that you're doing. But truly appreciate you for taking time out. Appreciate you even more for giving us the holistic side of entrepreneurship. I think sometimes we see that it's all highlight reels, or sometimes we see that it's all valleys, but it's actually a combination of both. And there's decisions that have to be made, and sometimes that's for you and your team. So thank you so much for doing that, being as transparent as you have been, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you so much.